There's one more really cool thing what you can do with Tracker is stabilization. So this I'll show you, just bear with me. So if you go to Fusion folder, this is just a video of someone dancing. Yep, and you can see this sidebars because the video is in vertical format. So maybe I would just go until here and cut it. Yep, and what I can do, I can also just change the resolution to vertical, so you can go to setting, go vertical resolution like so. And now let's go to Fusion. So here what I want to do, I want to track the jacket because here there's a bit of contrast, the white and black. So I would go press again, tracker, oh, just press enter, tracker comes. You can see this green box here. I would put the tracker here, yeah. And I want this tracker to track this jacket throughout the entire movement. So let's hope that it is tracking. Sometimes it can get, you see, here as soon as the guy twisted on the right side, it didn't track because now the plane is gone. So what I would be doing is here, I would bring the square to his head and maybe track backwards to just match the movement, because how his jacket is moving, his head is also moving in the same way. So I would just go back tracking. So now it's tracking his entire head. So I think now my tracker has a bit of a movement. Of course it was here late back then and now it's here. So what I would do here, I want to stabilize the frame or just keep this point at the same position throughout the entire video. So the next step is we go here to operation on the right hand side, and then you go match move, and then after selecting match move, if you go to merge, you can go background only, and now you see what happens. You see my mouse, if I put my mouse here, his head or his jacket stays at the same position, but it just jumps a little bit here because of the bad tracking. So what we're gonna do is that we can track again and see what can we do better. So maybe just leave the tracker here and then track again. No, it is not tracking. Maybe adaptive mode, every frame I can do and see. So tracking always, that's what I also see in a lot of tutorials, that every time they choose this easy clip and it doesn't work. Because if I just zoom in here, my box should be somewhere here. So if I just bring it like here again. As soon as he turns, the whole plane is gone. So what I would be doing is, that's why you should always track things which is in the frame throughout the whole video. Maybe what we can do now is that maybe track his head. Maybe his head. You see, because there is not much contrast between the head and the background, so that's why it's not working. But let's try again. Yeah, because now the head, like the cap is there throughout the entire video. Okay, so that worked. So yeah, choose this on a clip which is not that complicated. So match move background only. So I think it is tracking now. So if we go here in the media page, then you can see. So what is happening now is that my clip is moving because it wants to keep everything stable here. So what we need to do in this case is we need to just zoom in a little bit, you know, so that we need to make sure that the clip is not going everywhere. And this is how it looks. So if I just do like this, his head would be at the exact same position throughout the entire frame. And in a lot of dance videos, a lot of dance TikToks, they do this as well. And this is called like locked on stabilization that you can achieve super easily with the tracker window. Now let's show you something really cool. So here you see that this text is attached to, like the lake text is attached to the lake. You might have seen in a lot of videos that sometimes the texts are attached to the wall. So that's what we're going to learn now. So what we do, I'll just make another copy of it. I go to Fusion and I will just delete everything. So here we have the lake with us. Yeah. you have this video as well. So now we're gonna do tracker again. No, that was, we always get confused between shift and space. So we go tracker again. And here we go planar tracker. So what planar tracker does is that the other tracker was just for a point. Planar tracker is for entire plane. So let's do tracker here. And now what we gonna do, we just see the clip. I'll just turn off the media pool. So yeah, I would just bring the cursor to the beginning. And planar tracker, what you wanna do? I would do this time on the mountain or maybe here. I would just draw like a little plane because I want the text to be on this mountain here. Yeah. So now this box is closed. I can change the shape of the box. Something like this. So you can just make like a little box here of whatever place you want to track, and always make sure that that place is there in the frame throughout the entire video. It shouldn't appear like this plane because this plane was not there in the video. So this plane should be there through the entire video. So yeah, I can see that it was there. So let's just do it here. So we made a little box. What do you want to do? You go all the way to the front. You bring the red line all the way to the front, so you're at the first frame, and then you click set. Yeah. And after clicking set, what do you need to do? Tracker, then go hybrid point areas. And now you track again. So here what you can do, you can just press the forward tracker. So you can see that this box sticks to the floor, to the grass, what we have selected. This is a really nice smooth drone shot. That's why it's acting really nice. But sometimes if you film from your camera, or if the shot is not that smooth, if there's too much movement, then this might not work. Okay. So we can see that this box was attached to the grass throughout the whole time. Yeah. I can also see that there was a little movement here. You can see. I would maybe do perspective again and see. Maybe I can just use the clip until now, or let's just play it and see how it looks. It looks like it is tracking. So if it doesn't track, just go through different options and choose any of the options and play it again. And then one of the options should be working. If it's not working, then your clip is not good enough for tracking. So now we have the planar tracker here. Now what we can do the text again. So I would do text, text, and then text appears here. So what we want to do, I would just delete this merge because we don't really need the merge. We want the text in the foreground. So what I would do, just go here and bring the text here. And now if I write something, say grass, nothing happens, right? What do we want to do? Go to planar tracker, and from track, you go to corner pin. And as soon as I go corner pin, I see my grass appearing in this weird box. So now what we want to do, we want to place this grass text on the grass and then see how everything looks. So I am putting the text grass on the grass. Of course, because it's in that plane, you don't really see it clearly, but if I go to text, I can zoom in. If you zoom in too much, sometimes it can go outside the box. Yeah, this looks nice. Let's just see if it actually is tracking or not. So you see the grass is attached to the grass. That looks really cool, but it's not really looking that realistic. So I would just add some shadows. Yeah. So here I would go shift space. I just go shadow. Yeah. And drop shadow. Drop shadow we have used in the edit page. So let's select drop shadow. And now you can see there is actually a shadow under this, under the grass. And you can change the settings with like blur. If I don't go blur, shadow strength, you can see the strength of the, and you can change the angle of the shadow according to how the sunlight is falling. So I can also zoom in this area. I would maybe go blur a little bit, so it still looks a little bit realistic. Maybe just increase the drop distance, increase the blur, maybe something like that. So it almost looks like the grass is just placed there. Yeah, so let's just go here and fit. And now if we track, let's see, it almost looks like grass is just placed there. So this is also what you can do. Here we are attaching a text to a plane. In planar tracker we attached a text to a point, to an object, but the text would still be in the XY plane. But here it almost looks like the text is in a 3D plane, and that's really cool about planar tracker. So last time what I showed you was here with water, and this time is the grass. And that's what really cool thing about planar tracker is that any flat area you can track and put anything. You can also put your photo, put emojis, put anything here and track it. So cool. After planar tracker, we're gonna do another really cool thing. So a lot of you might have seen, green screens in the video. So I actually have given you stock footage of a green screen. So yeah, if you wanna make this green screen disappear, in DaVinci, it's not really possible until you go to the Fusion tab. So I selected the clip, I go to Fusion tab, and then I go media in, media out. I just select median 1, and then I go delta. Just type delta, and then it comes delta keyer. You select delta keyer, and then here is the background color. So whatever color is in there, this delta keyer would make it transparent. So what I want to do, I take the selector tool, and I drag it to green area. But if I dragged it to white area, this white, then everything which is white in the screen would become white. And that's why people use this crazy green color in a green screen, because most of the time, none of the other colors are very similar to this green. And that's why it's easy to just take out the green screen. So now we can put anything on this computer. For example, now you can see that there's just black screen. So if I put any footage, let's just put the drone footage from here. If I put any footage under this, it would look like it is playing in the system. But now you can see that the footage is in just a normal, like a full length shape. So what I would do, I would reduce the size of the image. And I can also see that the laptop is like not in XY plane. It's kind of, there's a bit of tilt. So I would also change the yaw and the pitch maybe. Maybe I'll change the pitch, so make the pitch look like this. So now it almost look like it is playing actually, you see? So now my image is almost in the same plane. Maybe change the yaw a little bit like so. Maybe rotation. So all these things, yeah, you can just tweak. That's why I wanted to teach Fusion in the end, because whatever I'm doing right now, that is in the edit page, which I've already taught you. So if you watch in full screen, it almost looks like this video is in the computer. How cool is that? So with just one little click, you can just use this. So yeah, that's how you can use the green screen effect in DaVinci Resolve 19 in Fusion. Now let's show you one of the map animations, what I do. This I use in a lot of my YouTube videos. I've also recently used in one of my client videos, and they absolutely love it. So to use this effect, you need a screenshot of a map. You can use any map you want. I have provided a screenshot of a map. So let's just go here. This is just a screenshot. So it's like a little photo. So I'm just gonna make sure the photo goes for 5 seconds, or even longer is fine. So yeah. This is a screenshot just from Google Maps. So I would just zoom in because you can see that it was a little bit smaller. So I'll just zoom in and let's go to Fusion. So here in Fusion, what we want to do is that we want to maybe mark you know how they do in map animation, that mark a point, a line from Hamburg, just show the route from Hamburg all the way to Berlin. Yep. So that's how you do it. First thing what you need to do is go to background. Just press background, background appears, then add the background. So background is here now. Yep. Whatever color you want the line to be, you have to choose it now. You can always change it later. I would maybe do red because yeah, red just pops out. And after that, you can see that the whole image is red. After that, you need to click on the background and then go to another effect. Just select the background and press shift spacebar and type paint, and then select mask paint here and then go add. So it gets added on top of the background. here. Now it's time to draw. Yeah. So I'm zooming in with command and just scroll the mouse. You can do the same with command or control. Now what we want to do, we have the mask paint here, and if I just do a little click on the image, it just makes a little dot. We don't want dots, we want to draw an entire line. Yeah. So we want to go here to the polyline stroke. So once we have the polyline stroke, you can make the lines like this. Yeah. So I'll just control Z. So we are just gonna draw, you know, not that precise, just go according to the, just follow this little highway. So I'm just clicking, yeah, and if you wanna make any turn, what you can do is that just click here a bit further, and then you have this like a little polygon kind of tool, so you can make curves like that. So you can select here as well and make curves. Yeah. So here we're gonna go all the way to Berlin. Yeah. And now you can see that this is a little bit blurry. I'll just go to the normal shape. The line what we have drawn is a little bit, you know, washed out, a bit more blurry. So what we want to do, go to brush controls here, and softness, I usually just go all the way down. So now it's a really hard line. And you can also reduce the size of the line. So now what's happening here is that I can see that I don't really see Hamburg. So maybe we can change the way. So you see this little dots, so you can just drag it however you want. So, you know, just for the sake of this video, I would just change the way so that people can also see Hamburg in the map. So maybe I can also add, just go here. So now if I drew the new way, you can see Hamburg actually really clearly. Yeah. So you have to make sure you're selecting these points. And now if I zoom out, I can obviously see Hamburg and Berlin. Now we have the entire way drawn out. Yeah. What we want to do, we want the animation to start maybe at after 1 second. So let's go at 24 frames, which is here. And here what we're gonna do, you go to mask paint, and then you go to stroke controls. So we go to stroke controls, and you go see this right on tool. If I go all the way there, then my line disappears. I can maybe zoom in a little bit so you can see clearly. So if I, you know, do right on, my line is there. If not, line is gone. So what I would do, of course, keyframing here. So you see if I did keyframing, there's a white line here. And when do I want this effect to be over? Maybe at 100th frame. So we are starting at about after 1 second and ending at the 5th second. And at the 5th second, you go like so. So should we play from the beginning? Hamburg. And we went to Berlin. Yep. And if you want to add shadows, you can add shadows as well. So shadow, you don't have to add under the mask paint. You go under background. So here what we would be doing is I would just select background and then I go drop shadow. Just try drop shadow. You click it. The drop shadow comes in between the background and the merge node. You can see here. And if I click on drop shadow is somewhere there. I just reduce the blur and you can see the shadow here. So I would keep the blur like that. Maybe change the distance. Yeah, and this was the image without shadow and this is with shadow. And now if I play it in full screen, you go this. So you might have seen this animation so often and now you know how to do it. And of course you can put some location point here. I don't know. Yeah, you can put some, I will also give you this, so don't worry. You can put some location point. So this one, I would just reduce the size. Go to Hamburg here. Maybe just zoom in a little bit. So what I would be doing is I would just bring it at the Hamburg. Yeah. And then I would also do the same thing. I would just make another copy, go option. Let's just increase it. So there's another one at the same location. This I would bring it to Berlin. And if you see that you have this little shadow of the location icon, if you want to get rid of it, just crop it from the bottom. So I just select this, then crop from the bottom. So now you can see if I get rid of this box, the shadow is gone. Same with the other one. I can get rid of it from the bottom. And what you can also do is that you can do some animation, what I taught you before. So if I go to effect, yeah, here in effect, you go all the way down, you go magic animate V3, you go here, and then here, what you can do zoom in and zoom out, both. Drag like so. We can do zoom in and zoom out. So now let's see the entire animation. How cool is that? Like, you really don't have to do crazy amount of editing to get this effect. So that was map animation for you in DaVinci Resolve 19. Here I'm gonna show you something which is in studio version. Here what we're gonna do, we are gonna cut out this character and then delete all the things in the background, and we can put this character anywhere we want. That's really easy in Fusion tab. What you need to do, select median 1, shift command, and here what we're gonna do is we go click magic mask. See, select magic mask, and here what we're gonna do, if we select magic mask, as soon as we go to the subject, that brings this little selector. So here I would just do a rough selection of the subject just around their body, you know, just to make sure that everything is selected. And now you can see that the subject is selected, but I can also see there's also something else here selected. So I will just go to negative here, select this just to get this out. Yep. You can also see something else is selected here. So I just select, so I don't want all of this. And here what you want to do, so you can see that our subject is selected and that the background is gone. Yep. Here what you want to do, you can also do it better. And if you go refine range, so that gives more refined video. So the edges would be more softer, but then it's also a bit taxing on your system. Now we have to track this track throughout the entire video. So what we want to do is, we were doing, you know, the forward tracking, but here I see that I started, it was my mistake, I started from the middle of the clip. So there is an option called front and back tracking. So it would track all the way to the front, you know, and then later it would track all the way to the back. So because this is a long clip, I shouldn't have done it on a long clip. It's gonna take a while. So let's cut to a point where it's already done. So now you can see that as soon as it tracked all the way in the front, now it's tracking all the way to the back. It is of course not perfect. If you really want to do perfect, then you have to go frame by frame and track frame by frame, but it does the job. So here I can see that the subject is cut out. Now I can put the subject anywhere I want. So you can see that the subject jumped from one video to another. What we can also do is, I will just make a copy of it. So Option or Alt and then drag it down. So now you can make duplicate copy, and here what we're gonna do, here we're gonna delete this magic mask. So what we have now is a transparent layer of all the background, just the subject is here, and here we have the entire video. So now what we can do, I can just bring this text here. So text, I would just write down. I think I did the other way around. Yes, that was my mistake, so you can really learn from it. So what I did was this, the video which was not cropped out, that should be all the way at the bottom. So this video should be at the top. So it almost looks like first is this cropped out image, and then we have the text. Text behind the, so there's text behind the object effect, and you can just do it like this. And then I can drag the main clip here. So it almost looks like, let's do full screen. Yeah, the text is behind the object. What you can also do usually is that, you know how you might have seen all those cutouts, you can just play another video. Just drag this subject here and just play another video. This video is a bit lagging, maybe here. And you can change the size and, you know, drag this anywhere. Change the size or so. So yeah, that's really cool, and it's just available in Resolve. But yeah, the text behind the object is one of my favorite effects because I use that in my reels as well, and it's super easy to do. It is a little bit taxing on the system because you can sometimes see that it doesn't go at 23.976 frames per second. But yeah, in the end, it's really nice. Once you render it, export it, then it does a really good job. So that was a brief introduction about Fusion. There are thousands and thousands of effects. There are so many crazy things what you can do in this page. If you really want to learn about it, just DM me or put it in the discussions. Maybe I can give you a link of some other YouTuber or some other course which is available about Fusion now. But if you really want me to make a course about it, I'm happy to do so as well. So yeah, that was Fusion, and now we go to the last section of DaVinci Resolve, how to export high quality videos. Let's go. I'm really glad you have made until this far, and now it's time to export the files. I'm not going to tell you which settings you should export at. I'm going to tell you what setting is what, and then you can decide for yourself what setting you want to export it. So let's go. First, for example, if I just want to export from here to here, what I want to do, because now if you see my timeline, everything is selected. But if I want to just export from here to here, I would just do out. I would just make an out point. So here you can see that you can select in and out range. So here you just press I if it's not selected, and here you go O. And you can always just zoom in to see if there is no black spot left. So I think there is one left. So I'll just bring it closer to the clip. Okay, and yeah, I would also just bring it closer here. You cannot do it here, so you have to go in the edit page, and then you can also just do in and out points in the edit page itself. Yep, so let's go to the export page. How it works. If you don't want any dramas, you can just go to custom export. You can go browse, but I have selected my export to a specific location, which I already chose in the beginning of this video. But I would go browse, and you can also just do it on desktop. It's really up to you, and you can save it. So now this video can be exported on desktop. I can just do maybe test file 1, and that would be the name of the clip. Sometimes if you want to export individual clips, like for example, if I want to export just this clip as how it is, I want to export this clip individually, then you can select individual clip, and DaVinci would export all the clips individually. It's really handy when someone is color grading the videos. So you can color grade 100 videos, and DaVinci can export all the 100 videos as 100 new clips, not an entire project. That's really handy then. But if you just want a single clip of multiple clips, then that's the option to select. Here with video, first we go through the video option. You can go select tick export video. I usually do QuickTime or MP4, and with MP4 you can select H.264 or H.265 format. So what is the difference between 264 and 265 format? They are called codec, and H.264 is easy to use in any other video editing software because the footage it plays really smooth, but then the file sizes are also really big. But H.265, the footage is a little bit difficult to play on certain systems if it's in H.265 format, but the file sizes are really small. So sometimes, most of the times, if I'm exporting my YouTube videos, which are like 16 minutes, 20 minutes or so, then I choose H.265 because then that gives me the same quality exported file, but the file size is almost 4 to 5 times smaller. So now usually my YouTube videos are, I think if I go in H.265, the final rendered video would be 2 gigabytes, 2 GB. And if I was selecting H.264, then the final video would be around 10 to 12 GB. So if you want to save space, you can go H.265, but H.264 also doesn't have any cons except for the file size. So for the sake of this video, I'll just do H.265. Here I would just select tick hardware acceleration if available. Now remember I told you to select your timeline as high definition for it to play smooth. Here DaVinci shows the same resolution, the timeline resolution, which is high definition. But here you can change it to 4K. So if you want, you can do 4K Ultra HD. In the DaVinci Studio paid version, you can also export in 8K, but I usually do in 4K. You also have different other sizes. If you want to export in some lower quality, or if you want to export in a square format, you can also do it. But for the sake of this video, I would just do 4K. Frame rates was the same, 23.976. So I would select 23.976. The quality I would select automatic when I'm using H.264. But if I'm doing H.265, then at the quality I would restrict to 50,000, because in my experience, if I have exported a video in H.265 and if I selected quality automatic, DaVinci does something weird and there are some glitches here and there in the video. And after a lot of research, I have come to this conclusion that if you restrict the quality to 50,000 kbps, kilobytes per second, then the video is of really good quality. So here I would select that, restrict to 50,000 if I'm choosing the H.265 codec. And then in the advanced setting, I don't change nothing. But if you have subtitles, like I showed you before, if you have subtitles, then you can go burn in the video if you want the subtitles to appear in the video. But if you want the subtitles to be exported as a separate file, I go to as a separate file, because sometimes in YouTube I want to upload the subtitle file as well. So then I would do as a separate file and then I would do .srt. But usually if I want the subtitle to appear in the video, I would just do burn in the video. And I would just select the out point again. For some reason it disappeared, I think because we did something here. So yeah, that was the general setting if you want to take it easy. And then I go to add to render queue. Now it says add higher resolution will render because we chose the timeline size to be smaller and now we are rendering in higher resolution. Yes, we're gonna do that. And then you can render all. And you can also do like multiple clips. For example, what I do usually with Skillshare classes is that I would edit everything and then everything is in the timeline. So that was one chapter. If, for example, if this is another chapter, right, I would just change the name to test file 2, leave all the settings, and then do add higher render. So now we have 2 files to render. So then what I do is that if I have 10 files to render, I would just select all of them and render all, and meanwhile I'm on a break or so. When I come back, all the files are rendered. But that only when you have to render multiple files. So that was a general export settings. Audio, I don't really do much. I just leave it as it is. From here on, you would just see all the other presets in DaVinci Resolve, what DaVinci Resolve has made to make our lives easier. So you can do H.264, you can change all the settings and see what's best for you. But for my YouTube videos, what I do is that I go to H.265. This preset only does one thing. He just selects H.265 here. You can also do it manually, but you do, like if I have to export a YouTube video, I just go H.265. Here I just do 4K, restrict to 50,000, burn into the video. If there is any subtitle, name something and then export. But if you want to have the highest quality output, H.265 was pretty good quality, small file size. But if you want to have the highest quality output, then you can export in ProRes. For example, as I told that if I have to color grade individual clips for a client and give them all the clips after color grading, not the project file, but all the individual clips, then I would export the clips in ProRes 422 HQ, because then my client would get really high quality, big file size videos. And when they import that big file size videos in their computer, the sizes would be quite big, but how it would play on DaVinci or any other video editing software would be super smooth. So here, ProRes, you can do same thing. You can go ProRes, different options. Apple ProRes 422 is the biggest file size. As soon as you go to 422 Proxy, it's the smallest file size. But if I have to export in the highest quality with the biggest file size ever, then I would do for ProRes. And then you can also select 4K I wouldn't change anything here, and then export subtitles. And then you also have this little YouTube format, like the format which works the best and easiest for YouTube is this one. But yeah, these are all the presets what you can use if you want to. But what I have showed you before, this basics, everything is related to the basics, and in each preset, just some of these basics are changing. You can also do for TikTok. So for TikTok, and oh, and also if you wanted to export this vertical video, where it was the dancing video. Yeah, so if I go here in and out, and if I go to export, and if I want to export vertical video, what I do usually go to custom, and here I would just do vertical resolution. So if I do vertical resolution, then my image wouldn't have these black bars, even if I have exported it. Same thing you can do in TikTok as well. So you can also make your own preset. TikTok, they recommend 1080p. DaVinci recommends 1080p as well. I don't do all of this because this is only if you have to export the videos into Premiere. And if you want to export just the audio, then there is another preset as well. So export video is ticked out, audio is selected. So if you just want to export the audio, and the format is WAV, which is the highest export settings. So I hope that the export settings are a little bit clear to you. It's not that complicated, but yeah, you should know the basics of what all these settings are before exporting anything. So yeah, most of the things I don't change. The only thing I change is the timeline resolution. And if I have to export it as a vertical video, then I do as a vertical video. And this one restrict to 50,000 if I am exporting in S.265. And last thing what I do is that subtitles burn into the video if there are subtitles in DaVinci. So yeah, I think that was it from the export panel. So guys, that was it for video editing in DaVinci Resolve 19. I hope you enjoyed the class, and don't forget to post your projects in the project section. And I'll see you in the next one.